Akufo-Addo is expected to cut short for the construction of a factory expected to be the first under the One District, One Factory project. The Ekumfi Pineapple Processing Factory is expected to employ over 5,000 people when completed by mid-2018. An amount of 5 million Ghana cedis is expected to be invested in the project from a $2 billion Exim Bank Chinese loan announced earlier by government. Want to take you to Ekumfi right now to gauge the mood ahead of the ceremony. Presidential correspondent Elton Bobe is there for us. We'll try and make a connection to him. Elton, what's the latest from where you are? Okay, so we are trying working the lines to get Elton John Bobe to give us the latest from Ekumfi, where a ceremony is supposed to get underway. But as we have indicated, government's plan to industrialize the country would be giving a major boost today as the president launches his administration's flagship industrialization project. We've been talking about the One District, One Factory in the central region. But are there any threats to this policy, and could it suffer the same challenges that other government projects encountered? Here's more in this report.
The president's special initiatives, Ayensu Starch Factory, Pwalugu Tomato Factory, Agua Project, and other initiatives and projects may not have failed totally, but the concern here is that, have these initiatives really lived up to expectation? That is why a lot of industry watchers are worried about how this administration would implement its flagship industrialization policy, that is the One District, One Factory. Would factories set up under this initiative get the necessary support in terms of tax incentives, access to reliable power, and the concern of most industries, the high cost of doing business? Another challenge is the influx of cheap goods from the Far East, the problem of preference for foreign goods, and whether goods produced by these firms would really be purchased locally, or some policies must be implemented to compel the second cycle institutions and government agencies to buy from these industries. Government has, however, maintained that the policy will create the environment conducive for each local government area to own factories relative to its well-endowed resources and capacity to provide jobs and wealth for the country.
All right, so I understand we've got Elton John Bobe on the line from Ekumfi for us. Elton, has the ceremony started yet?
Well, fortunately, everything is over now. The president just finished his address, bringing to an end the second part of today's program. The next part will be the sword cutting ceremony to kickstart construction of this factory processed raw pineapple fruit into finished product. So the usual pleasantries have just come to an end. We are now waiting to see how the sword cutting ceremony will go.
Okay, can you tell us more about what the president said during his address at the ceremony?
Well, so a few pointers here. I mean, re-echoing what has already been said. He said that the clarion call for jobs during his call in the run-up to the 2016 election influenced his decision, that of his government, to look at how best to address this particular issue. And that was about the birth of the One District, One Factory project, and that it was not a campaign slogan, but something well thought out to ensure that there is availability of jobs, there is an industrialization across the 216 districts in the country, and to ensure that we are able to process raw materials into finished products. That, according to him, is the only way Ghana can get out of poverty. Now, he said that by the end of this year, 2017, we should have in operation 51 factories, being in operation in selected districts in the country. But the ultimate goal is that they are able to roll out 216 factories by the first term, when the first term of his presidency comes to an end in 2020. Already, according to President Akufo-Addo, they are reviewing 330, proposals for factories to be set up across the country, and they are looking at this critically because there's availability of money for people who are able to convince those who are reviewing some of these projects. Already, the Chinese Exim Bank is providing $2 billion. There's $100 million in the 2017 budget for startups. There's a $350 million from local banks in the country who are also supporting this particular initiative. So as far as money is concerned, they have available resources to enable people who meet the criteria set up for the establishment of these factories to access and go into business. But their target for this year is that they will have 51 district factories in operation by the end of the year. But as far as the ultimate goal is concerned, they are expecting to roll out the 200 systems by 2020, and he is committed to it because this is a plan or a project that witnessed thorough briefing, thorough assessment, thorough investigation, and they will not fail the people of Ghana in rolling out this particular project.
Okay, there's been plenty of talk about the expected economic impact for the country if this should pull through. What's been your engagement with the people there at the Kumfi, the farmers, the people who are likely to work in the factory once it starts working? Are they upbeat about the prospects of this factory?
But what we are being told is that the factory will give employment, permanent employment, 450 individuals, but will also create, secondary employment for over 5,000 people. For the people over here, lack of employment opportunities is a major issue facing them, and they see this as a blessing for them, and they are looking forward to maximize the benefits that they can get from this particular project, which is expected to be completed. The factory is expected to be completed in June 2018 for actual work to start. For the outdoor farmers already, they are looking at getting much money and ready market for their products. So now it is a good news for these individuals.
All right, Elton John Bobby there with the latest from Ekumfi. And as he has been reporting, the president has gone ahead to cut short for the commencement of the project, the first under the One District, One Factory initiative, the commencement of work on the Ekumfi pineapple processing factory. So that's the latest for you from Ekumfi. And of course, this project, as we've been saying, is part of government's industrialization agenda. But how far would this initiative go in building the economy based on industry? Earlier, my colleague George Afe engaged the Chief Executive Officer of Reroy Cables, Kate Kwoti Papafio.
First question is that, what do you make of this initiative?
It's actually a laudable idea. It's a real revolution that is actually going to change this country, which all of us, we are all in favor of it. But then also, we need to look at how we're going to put the industries in perspective in terms of how we're going to brand ourselves as Ghana and how we are going to brand our products. With this initiative, it's actually something that we are all looking forward to it. But at the same time, there are challenges.
Indeed, it's good you're talking about challenges, but some would say that what are those things that needs to be worked on or needs to be given a very great attention if government, this policy will succeed? Because we've had several initiatives, presidential special initiative and all the rest, but when you look at the sector right now, there's nothing to write home about.
I would say that there is always challenge in every situation, but then even the challenge should even deter us from how the industries should run. I mean, one of the challenges is looking at your inputs. It's so expensive. Running an industry is a very expensive.
So issues about taxes need to be addressed. Issues about reliable power needs to be addressed.
Indeed, that actually add on to a lot of costs and also even training as well. It comes in that taxes needs to be looked at. How we are going to get incentives to actually encourage the up and coming industries. How are we even also going to look out there exporting our products? After all are said and done, getting raw materials is another issue. How we're also going to add value is another issue. How we're going to train our people is another issue. How government is also going to actually entice the private sector in terms of taxes and all that.
I'm coming to the issue about market as well, because the argument here is that for those products from the Far East, they come in, they are supported, it's very cheap, and when I go onto the market, there's quality real cable out on the market, and there's other cable coming from elsewhere. What do you think can be done to ensure that whoever gets into this initiative, which if Reroy should get in, to ensure that there is ready market for these produce coming out of this One District, One Factory?
This One District, One Factory, if one is to actually given the chance, as we have now, I think we all of us, first and foremost, we have to talk about quality. Quality comes number one, and prompt delivery, it comes. And then also looking at it, the government is a bigger buyer. Now, after you've even produced and supply, getting your returns becomes another issue.
Payment, some will talk about payment.
I mean, it becomes issue, which is actually...
Do you think that there should be a policy where, in terms of our localization and all the rest, compel some of these government agencies, even at our school level and ministries, to buy these products from these factories?
That is number one. That is the first thing that we have to look at, that whatever we are going to be producing here, we have to buy made in Ghana.
All right, so some perspective from an industrialist over there. Now, government has indicated plans to strengthen the local steel industry to help create employment for the youth and grow the economy. This is to be achieved through exploitation of iron ore and manganese deposits in the northern and western regions of the country. President Akufo-Addo announced this when he opened the Harvard Africa Alumni Action Forum.
The event, which is the first of its kind in Ghana, is part of activities to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the flagship International Mason program of Harvard University, which coincided with Ghana's 60th anniversary celebration. According to the president, natural resources of the country will be used to generate wealth for the citizens.
We think the time has come for Ghana to develop strategic industries out of its abundant natural resources of bauxite and iron ore. We intend to establish shortly an integrated aluminum industry development authority to assemble the relevant financial resources for the systematic exploitation and transformation of our bauxite into aluminum, the metal of the future. By the same token, we've decided to exploit our substantial iron ore and manganese deposits situated in the western and northern regions of our country to build an integrated steel industry to serve the needs of our country and region. This process of economic and industrial transformation has to go along with ensuring that the most basic elements of social justice are met.
President Akufo-Addo also highlighted his government's flagship One District, One Factory program, which is taking off, beginning with the pineapple factory in Ekumfi.
For our part in Ghana, we have set about prosecuting the agenda of building, with the private sector, at least one factory in each of our 216 districts. Later today, I will launch the One District, One Factory program, with the first being Ekumfi Fruits and Juices Company Limited, a pineapple processing factory in Ekumfi in the central region of Ghana, which intends to generate 5,000 jobs in the area.
The forum is being held under the theme Reimagining Africa, a Call to Action. It aims to initiate conversations, foster relationships, as well as develop recommendations and a set of policies to address the challenges affecting various sectors of the continent that need to function properly to aid growth.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo says Ghana and Ivory Coast are bent on industrializing agriculture. According to him, this is the only way to bring prosperity to the continent.
It is vital for the future of African democracy that democratic governance provides the context not only for the flourishing of freedom in Africa, but also, equally significant, for the rapid development and transformation of Africa's economies. It is the only way we can deal effectively with the greatest threat to our future, widespread unemployment amongst our youth. The time has come to bring prosperity to Africa's long-suffering masses. We cannot, however, bring prosperity to our peoples by maintaining economic structures that are built around the production and export of raw materials. A startling example can be found in the figures from the production and export of cocoa, which, as you know, is so important to the economy of my country. Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire account for more than 60% of the world's cocoa output. Ghana, for example, earned $2 billion United States dollars from the sale of cocoa beans in 2015, and Cote d'Ivoire, $3.7 billion United States dollars, amounting together to $5.75 billion United States dollars. And yet, the chocolate market was worth a little over 100 billion United States dollars in 2015. It means that the farmers, who through their sweat and toil produce 60% plus of the world's cocoa, earned 5.7% of the global value of their activity. This is not right and cannot and should not continue.
Well, a quick update from the banking sector, and the Bank of Ghana is warning the public not to deal with an online-based financial firm, Money Doubler. According to the Bank of Ghana, the institution is undertaking some services which it has not licensed.
According to the Bank of Ghana, the institution is using mobile platforms as a medium to transact its operations. The funds are mobilized and paid to its members via mobile money platforms and lodged with the institution, which is doubled over a period. The regulator in a statement adds that the institution is undertaking a transaction which is not licensed. The Bank of Ghana wishes to inform the general public that Money Doubler is not licensed by the Bank of Ghana to engage in any form of deposit-taking business. This is the second time in just 2 months that the Bank of Ghana has issued a similar warning after directing a similar one on Men's Gold. Checks on the website of the institution shows that the company was indeed taking some deposits from the public. For instance, the institution was promising depositors returns on their funds depending on the number of persons they recommended. It also promised the public some good returns if they deposit between 100 and 1,000 Ghana cedis.
Energy Now and Karpower Ghana Company Limited has announced the arrival of the world's largest power ship, the 470-megawatt Karpower power ship Osman Khan, to Ghana. The power ship will start operating at the Tema Fishing Harbour in September. Of Karpower's power ship Osman Khan follows a power purchase agreement signed with the Electricity Company of Ghana, requiring Karpower Ghana Company Limited to provide a total of 450 megawatts of power and directly feed it into the national grid for 10 years. The power ship will supply uninterrupted and reliable electricity at a low cost to Ghana for thermal power generation with its dual fuel engines and combined cycle power generation technology. The power ship will initially use low sulfur heavy fuel oil to generate electricity, while the fuel will be converted to natural gas as soon as local natural gas supplies become available, ensuring cost savings for Ghana. The operations of the Karpower's power ship Osman Khan is expected to have a significant contribution to Ghana's electricity supply. While still in this space, the Minister of Energy, Boakye Jako, has charged the new board of the Petroleum Commission to facilitate the speedy passage of the regulations in the sector to streamline activities, that is the upstream sector. He spoke at a ceremony to swear in the board chaired by the Managing Director of Prudential Bank, Stephen Setre-Abankwa.
There are a number of institutions which have passed laws to regulate the upstream petroleum sector. This situation has made it difficult for the Commission to perform its mandate. Most of the legislation are saddled with conflicting mandates, creating unnecessary rigidities among the sector institutions. This situation frustrates the industry players and also stifles foreign direct investments in the industry. The Commission has made inputs into a memorandum which will shortly be forwarded to Cabinet by the Ministry of Energy on this matter. The board is required to follow up and ensure that the issues will be addressed.
Now let's delve into the lottery business, because the National Lottery Authority says it is confident of accruing about 1 billion cedis in revenue by licensing all lotto operators across the country. Under the new licensing regime, the authority is seeking to register more illegal private lotto operators, popularly known as banker-to-banker, to streamline activities in the industry. Sheila Tamaklo has more from a stakeholders meeting in Accra.
Under the new license regime, the National Lottery Authority seeks to register all private lotto operators, popularly known as banker-to-banker. The move is meant to streamline all activities in the industry on one hand and protect customer winnings on the other. Director General of the NLA, Kwesi Osei Amayel, tells Joy Business it will mainly boost revenue generation for the economy.
Previously, government was not getting any revenue from this operation, which, as you can see and tell, it's a large chunk of revenue that we have not been getting. By regularizing their current status, we bring them in line. They comply with the law. They are not breaking the law. And second, we are able to get revenue from them. I'm expecting that combined with the new vision and initiatives that we are bringing in terms of value-added services and the new generation kiosks, we are looking at between 500 million to $1 billion. That's the aim and objective.
However, operators at the meeting had mixed feelings about the new system.
As of now that they have been licensed to operate there, I think that there's going to be this kind of good relationship between the government and the operators, which will bring sanity into the state.
Okay. And then what do you hope to gain from it?
Well, there's going to be a lot of employment in the system, you understand? And then at least when you are in the kiosk, you write something small, you can get something small to eat.
They see a tax payment and so on. But we
want them to communicate ahead of time the proposed tax levels to be paid, so we can discuss and settle on specific amounts. This is to prevent the situation where they license us before they compel us to pay certain amounts, which we may not be in a position to, and thus deprive us our livelihoods.
The authority insists unlicensed operators will be prevented from plying the trade if they fail to be captured through the registration exercise in December 31st.
The amnesty extends to the 31st of December 2017. So 1st January, bar any impediments, without any extension, those who are not registered, licensed, and who have not paid their fees cannot operate or do this lottery business.
The NLA adds it will soon introduce certified stickers to help the public identify legal operators.
You're watching Business Live. We are moving straight to our interview of the day. It's got to do with the One District, One Factory initiative, and my colleague Eben Sabute has been engaging the acting executive director of the National Board for Small Scale Industries, Kosi Yankee, on how beneficial this initiative would be for small and medium enterprises.
Interview of the day.
There's a lot going on the ground through the various governmental agencies and also private sector as well. And I think that it's very important and dear to the government's heart and to the president's heart and agenda, as you can see in what he's pushing for the One District, One Factory, along with a lot of the initiatives and policies he's putting in place. For him, innovation is important because without it, we have a growing youth unemployment, and without pushing that, there's a lot of problems going to happen. If you look at the agency where I'm the acting executive director, we're doing a lot in the coming years in terms of strengthening across all the districts, which is 173 districts that the National Board for Small Scale Industry works in, to ensure that we're bringing support services to entrepreneurs, trying to set up incubators and acceleration programs through our business resource, our Transform Business Advisory Centers, to ensure that the youth and entrepreneurs and the people can be innovative and push forward.
How do we link this youth and small-scale enterprises into the One District, One Factory program? Because we all know that it's such a huge project. It's not just a little factory that we go by, it's a huge program. How do we link this small-scale industries into the one district, one factory program?
I think it's important to know that there's so much that can be done to link them into the bigger things. Because, you know, Ghana is a very strong agro-based economy, and there's a lot of agri-processing happening. There are a lot of youth, either in farming, either in small or micro, or even medium agro-processing, who can be tied into larger value chains.
Interview of the day.
And that's our program tonight. Remember, of course, you can keep up to date on all our stories on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. And if you missed out on any of our shows, we've got the videos there for you as well. My name is Daryl Kwao. I'll see you next week on Business Live.